Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for July of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month for you. Well, Pisces, Ceres is in Libra all month until mid-September. Here she is traveling along through your 8th house. Ceres is about good stewardship, and earlier this year, she put us through a financial rebalancing period, which might have been pretty messy, especially during February, March, April, and early May. But the good news is we're clear of that now. And if you had any messes, particularly in finances that you share with a partner, such as a spouse or a business partner, and if they really made a wreck of your relationship with that person, now is the time for that stuff to all just completely come untangled and for you to set up the systems and make the plans that will enable that to go much more smoothly in the future, especially because on July 15th, Ceres is going to pass the degree of Libra where she went retrograde in the first place. And that's really a sign that, that we're out of the woods. So some pretty good news right there. And the next thing I want to talk about is Juno. She is in the sign of Cancer, traveling along through your 5th house. And I've started to really love Juno's passage through the 5th house and telling people about it, because if you are in a committed partnership, this transit is a great time for just having fun with your partner and reminding yourself about the importance of having that connection with them, whether it's a marital, like a spouse, or a long-term relationship, or a best friend that you feel really close to and have had a relationship of duration with, or even a business partner. This is a really good time for getting out, having fun, engaging in hobbies together, even doing, sort of like team building, fun things outdoors or even indoors. But it's just a reminder of the importance of play and lightening up in these relationships. If they are to last, they need to have a balance of effort put in and fun had. So Juno is going to be in Cancer all month until mid-August, really. And so you've got about 2 months really to enjoy having some fun with that partner. And then I want to talk about Chiron. Here's Chiron in your 2nd house. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer. And wherever Chiron goes, he tends to bring up old wounding to the surface for the purpose of healing it. Now, often, and it's completely human to respond this way, and especially if you don't know that you're having a Chiron transit, likelihood is that something happens, something goes wrong, and you feel a sense of woundedness as if some new wound has been laid in the present moment. When actually what is going on is that something very old has been triggered, maybe something you don't even remember or hadn't thought of for years, something that's been buried perhaps. And in your case, because Chiron is traveling along through the 2nd house, this is a house of your relationship to the physical world, including being in your body and the food that you eat and your relationship with your own nourishment and money and like how you support yourself. And underlying all of that are themes of self-worth and value, including values that you have, what you value, but also the value that you bring to the world. So when Chiron travels along this house, Chiron is going to spend a long time, has already been in this house for several years, will be in it for a couple more years. So this is really a kind of a long-term thing that's cooking along. And kind of funny that I mentioned cooking because this is a house of cooking. And there's so much healing that can happen here in your relationship to your body and in how you feel like it really belongs to you and that you're in charge of it and that you are a steward of it and a caretaker of it, whether that's through how you clothe yourself and shelter yourself, how you earn, also how you spend and save, or how you eat and how you digest. So Chiron is going to bring up old wounding about any of these things and propose to heal them in a way that's deeper than ever before and that can leave you feeling unburdened of baggage that you may have been carrying around without even realizing it. Now, Chiron is in Aries, so just be aware that Chiron's method in Aries is often to bring up anger, to bring you to occasions where you've got to assert yourself, where you've got to protect yourself. And so one thing that might be triggered during this Chiron passage would be times when you haven't defended yourself adequately before and felt that you were physically violated in some way. That can be the kind of trigger that can come up during a transit like this. But Chiron's goal is to heal, and as I said before, leave you baggage free. And that, to me, is worth the price of admission. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mars and Mercury and Venus this month for all those Pisces out there?
Well, there, Pisces, there's going to be a lot of activity in your sixth house this month. That is the house of health. It also represents your workplace, as well as all of those routines, the day-to-day operations of life. So Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month in your sixth house. He's going to be there for the first 10 days. And with Mars in the sixth, you can be feeling extra driven and motivated at work. You can get a lot of work done, actually, during this transit. However, it can be a time of running into some frustrations and conflict at the workplace too. And in terms of health, it can be a time of wanting to sort of start off new health routines, especially if they're physically active ones. But you might also get some irritations with any kind of chronic issues you have, especially any that are blood related, inflammatory, for example. Then by July 10th, Mars enters your seventh house. This is a house of partnership. It represents your romantic relationship, your business partner, as well as any consultants, people that you hire for advice. It's really a house of one-to-one relationships. And with Mars here for the rest of the month, you might feel very sort of energized by your partnership in life. It can be a great time to work with your business partner, really just kind of throw yourselves into it and get a lot of stuff done, or even with your romantic partner too, if you guys can find some projects to get ahead of. But because this is Mars and this is the warrior archetype, there's always a little bit of a caution of running into some flare-ups too. But the best way to handle this transit is just to throw yourself into that work, especially where it involves another person. Now, Mercury, the planet that rules your mind, is moving pretty fast now. So he's going to go through 3 houses. He starts in your 5th house of children, dating, fun and games, where for the first 10 days of the month, you might notice you're connecting a lot more to your kids if you have any. Maybe you're thinking a lot about your future children. Maybe that's something that's been preoccupying you earlier in this month. You also might be thinking a lot about dating, especially if you're single. And your mind might be on creativity and fun and games too early in the month. Then by July 10th, Mercury enters the 6th house just as Mars leaves it. So that's going to make the workplace a little bit easier with Mars coming out after the 10th and Mercury going in. Mercury in the 6th is a great time for getting organized at work because Mercury does so well in this house. And it's a great time for planning and strategizing for health. So if Mars's transit through the 6th house brought up some chronic issues, Mercury going in there after the 10th means that you could really put some great strategies to help solve or relieve those health issues as well. Then by the 28th, Mercury enters your 7th house, joining Mars. And by the end of the month, again, big partnership focus. With Mercury in here, you're going to be doing your best thinking with somebody else. And you might not want to keep your ideas to yourself, but really have a sounding board for them. So, business partner, your own romantic partner, even a platonic best friend would really really fit the bill. And then finally, Venus, the relationship planet, everybody's favorite. She represents pleasure. She represents luck. She begins the month in your sixth house, and she's going to stay here all month because by the end of the month, she's actually going to start a retrograde cycle here. She only does this once every 2 years, so it's pretty significant. But I'll get to that in a second. With Venus, the relationship planet in the sixth house, this is actually going to help mitigate some of Mars's crunchier energy in here by bringing a little bit of harmony and even a little bit of pleasure at work. Venus in the sixth house can also be a time where you actually really enjoy organizing your house, getting things in order, crossing things off your to-do list. This is the house of rituals. So even if you do any rituals that say are creative in nature, rituals that might even involve your romantic partner, like it's nice to have habits that you share. And this could be a good time for getting on some of those. But by July 22nd, Venus is going to go retrograde, and this is going to last a couple of months. So it's going to be for a little while. Now, when Venus goes retrograde or any planet goes retrograde, it's a time of review based upon what that planet signifies. So with Venus, this is going to be a big relationship review in your life. First of all, you could be reviewing your work relationships, for example, or if you're romantically inclined, if you've got a relationship, a partner, a romantic partner, then you might be reviewing the relationship through a sixth house lens. So maybe you're wondering if you guys are giving each other, if your partner is sort of practical enough assistance to you, or whether you're always the one who kind of helps them. This is a house of service. So questions of who is serving whom in the relationship might be coming up at the end of the month and beyond. Venus retrograded in the sixth might also have you reviewing the like I was saying, this is a house of habits, but the habits that you have with your partner, whether you like their habits, whether they have good health habits. If they don't, do those conflict with your good health habits? Like if they're just eating tons of McDonald's and you're trying to make a green smoothie, maybe these two things kind of conflict together, how you eat, how you exercise together. So those could be things that you look over and really start seeing in your relationship during this Venus retrograde.
Yeah, so true.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fascinating, but they're more general than personal. Did you know we run live workshops monthly and that you can get questions answered about your own chart there? This month's topic is harvesting your Jupiter luck, and in it you can find out when is the next time you'll have money luck, career luck, or relationship luck, or even a period of personal charisma that makes you especially persuasive and attractive to opportunity like a magnet. This workshop is expressly for our Tier 2 Patreon subscribers. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video.
Well, for months now, we've been having one easy moon and one difficult one each month, but this month, both moons feature a lot of harmony, which is just terrific, and I'm so happy to be able to tell you about it. On July 3rd, we have this month's full moon, which is in Capricorn right here in your 11th house, first moon of the month. And this moon is balanced against 3 planets in Cancer, which in themselves also trine a Saturn in Pisces. So there's plenty of water in this moon. Both moons this month actually feature a lot of water and a lot of harmony, which really suggests very much a feeling of flow and a focus on emotions and intuition. So this one we're calling Grow Your Emotional Intelligence. And there are definitely themes of growth in it. Here's Jupiter forms a really lovely sextile to the sun and a trine to that moon. And then Saturn, which very much has a theme of building, putting in some effort, but building on what came before. And that has a lovely sextile to the moon while it trines the sun. So the balancing act between the sun and the moon has a lot to do with this moon in Capricorn feeling that emotions must be contained. They must be corralled. They have to be squashed sometimes, or maybe only have emotions when it's appropriate. But any way you put it, the moon is pretty uncomfortable in Capricorn and will tend to kind of clamp down on emotions. By contrast, Mercury, Juno, and the sun here in Cancer are so much more warm, caring, nurturing, feeling, intuitive, and also socially adept and communicative. So that's the real dilemma of this moon, but there's lots of great help from that Jupiter and that Saturn. You can find out a lot more about this moon on our website, on our forecast page, where you'll find the video for this moon and also this month's other moon in the lunation section. So, and moving on to that other moon. Oh, you know what? I did not mention what it means that these are in your 11th and 5th houses. So let me do that right now. So with a full moon in your 11th house, the full moons are times when emotions can really run high, which is almost ironic because a moon in Capricorn does like to clamp down on emotions and only have them in appropriate ways, according to the context. But the emotions themselves can still be really strong and really big. And this moon landing in your 11th house does suggest that you may be in an emotional situation in a group of friends, in a community context, or that you may have a friend who has very big emotions that they're trying to clamp down on under this moon. And you, by contrast, you might even identify with these Cancerian placements, especially because that's water, and Pisces, you're water too. So you might find yourself vibing more with the Cancer end of this polarity and wanting to bring some sympathy and some empathy and some warmth to that friend who is just trying to kind of squash their own feelings. And so this could be how it plays out under this moon, that you bring sympathy to a friend and you help that friend to, you know, figure out how to manage their feelings without having to just shut them down entirely. So the other moon is a new moon in Cancer. It's happening on the 17th. And this one lands in your 5th house. I think it's kind of cool to have the sign of Cancer occupying the 5th house. And when the moon is in Cancer, it's at home in Cancer. So this is a really strong moon. And part of why I like this is because this is a house of creativity. It's a house of self-expression. It's about creative process and product. And Cancer is so very intuitive. So if you have creative projects that you like to do, this is a really great moon for incepting something new during, within the realm of your creativity. And we're calling this one Brilliant Psychic Insights. It really does have plenty of water because the sun and the moon are together. And as I said before, the moon's in Cancer, where it loves to be. It's very, very comfortable. And together they trine Neptune in Pisces, just amping up the intuitive factor, the psychic factor even. They also have a lovely sextile to Uranus. That's the brilliant part and the insight part. But there's another source of the insight part, and that is that this moon, the sun and the moon together, oppose Pluto. And Pluto, of course, has a way of bringing a vibe of like heaviness and depth and wanting to ferret out things from underneath the surface. It can bring like some paranoia. It can certainly bring control problems, issues with manipulation and power games. And so if you were to identify with the sun and the moon in this dynamic, you might find that Pluto pops up in the form of a person in your life who is trying to control your emotions or your intuitions or your insights. Maybe that person is trying to clamp down on that stuff or trying to dig into it to see if there's something underneath it that that they feel that they should know about. So, but I think that there's so much help and support from Neptune and Uranus that this should be, even if, it should be a difficult situation, it should be pretty easy to get out of it without, to come away feeling like you don't have to be controlled and like your insights are important and worth something. So, and then also because it's a new moon here in the 5th house, and new moons are about planting seeds, and this is the house of creativity, some of those brilliant psychic insights could be planted in the garden of your creativity and blossom into some pretty great creative projects in the future. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is the seasonal change. At the beginning of the month, we can see that there are plenty of placements here in Cancer, and that your 5th house is a very full and busy area. And this is a house of play and fun and games and hobbies and creativity and self-expression, trips to Vegas, I always like to say. It's also a house of your personal brand, and you can get more clarity on who you are, especially while the sun is traveling through this house. But as the month moves on and we get to the end of the sun's passage through Cancer, when the sun moves on into Leo, we can see that your 5th house is pretty empty at that point, and the 6th house is really where it's at right now. And so it's kind of like saying that over the course of the month, there's a general shift in tone from emphasizing play to emphasizing work. And when the sun enters your 6th house, it's time to put some high quality attention on your workplace and the people that you know there. Shine some sunlight into that area. Bring your sunniest personality to work with you. Be a leader. Bring your bright and shiny self to that arena. This is also a house of creating order. It's a house of health. And when the sun moves here, you can bring all of your consciousness to your health and create some pretty awesome vitality. And because this is a house of systems and order, this is a really good month for putting attention on how do you run your routines at work and at home? How organized are you? And spending the 30 days while the sun is in this house, creating more order so that your systems can run better, so that you're better organized and more efficient at work, so that you're living a healthier life in your home. Well, I just can't imagine a better way to spend this sun's passage from July 23rd for about 30 days as the sun is traveling this house.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy your summer, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.